are now listening to the Fantasy Standard Podcast on Talkdown TV with P and Ryan.
Welcome to the Fantasy Standard Podcast on Talkdown TV. This is P. If you're watching, it means you're on YouTube, and we kindly ask that you drop a like and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening, it means you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audio Boom, and all other podcast platforms. We also kindly ask that you hit that subscribe button and leave a review. So I'm joined by, you notice Rye's not here. So I'm joined by the infamous, you've heard about this guy a lot. I think he's won Troll MVP 3 years running in the league. Not that that's a thing, but I think it should be. My boy, the whole show, fantasy superstar, fantasy dud, fantasy. How many names have you had in the league?
A little bit of everything.
Our boy John joins us in the league.
What's going on, Pierre? Appreciate the invite. You know, I do my part to keep the show going. I mean, I could probably do a better job than Ryan anyway, so let's get to it.
Yeah, so the idea here is, and what we want to do is we want to start bringing some of the guys from the league so that people can see them too. Ryan and I will still be doing the NFL fantasy pod. But this brings a little different element to it. Right now, you get to see some of the faces that we've talked about, because we've talked about you a lot, even though, you know, they don't see that you talk about us a lot.
A whole lot.
One thing I wanted to mention, you play in other leagues, and do you feel like there are certain leagues that you really can't talk trash in, like in the one we're in now?
Definitely. I mean, I'm in my other league. It's in my work one, actually. And it's kind of boring because no one really talks at all. There's barely any trades. They have like different settings as far as pickups and waivers and stuff. So I actually prefer this one because it's kind of like a getaway, kind of just mess around, where the other one is just super quiet. You know, there's not much going on. So it's kind of boring.
So even if there's
I prefer this. I like the banner back and forth. You know, it's fun. You know, to me it is. I go over the top once in a while, but it's all in fun. It's all in fun.
I think we all do. Do you feel like it's important to have okay, so is competition just as important and as having that element, or would you sacrifice competition to have that banter?
It's good if you get a little bit of both. I mean, overall, everyone's been in this league for a while. I mean, if you can get 12 really good managers that all talk and, you know, real competitive, you know, that's the way to go. I mean, right now we're kind of at that point. I mean, you got a couple of managers, you know, a little bit on the lower side, really still don't know how it works, but they're getting better.
Right.
You know, I like more people to talk. Yeah, I like more people to talk in the chat. I hate having to keep it going once in a while, you know?
You held it up the last few years. It was you and Mike.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we need more people. Like, I would love London to talk a little bit more. I don't know why he doesn't.
London.
I mean, he surprised me the other day when he did the shaking my head. You know, that was great.
Bro, that was a lot.
I was like, wow. And then he changed his name and everything. I was like, damn, yeah, we're watching.
Yeah.
He's making moves, not just on the wire, you know?
Yeah. I think it's important also to note that when you have these leagues that they get a little heated, right? And I think we lose sight of the fact that, yeah, we're grown men that play this, but it's not about, I think that the mistake that I made was to make it seem like the money was the motive, right? Like the money's an incentive, right? But I think that because I know that you're a skilled manager, because I know that the commish is a skilled manager, like I have more of like an incentive to beat y'all because that validates my like skill set, right?
Right.
So
the time you put in, like the
yeah,
work you put in.
Yeah. So the money is like a
job.
Yeah, the money's a piece of the prize. It's dope to have, but and I think that Pooty mentioned it the best when we had that call. Is like, look, the money's cool and all, but I want that chip. I want to know that I beat y'all.
Right. That's the most important. I mean, you got other managers that study more than others, and when you're putting that time in, the money is nice at the end, but at the end there's only one winner. So we can all talk all we want, but at the end it's going to be one winner. And all that talk, at least you have that until the next season. You know what I mean? If you're just doing the season, not talking, and, you know, it ends and it's over, and then you're just quiet, it's like, doesn't make sense. You know, you might as well just get it all out.
We got to get a championship trophy or something, because it would have been nice to have you, like, have it posted up in the back.
I was gonna get a belt and just put it across my chest right here, like fucking Ric Flair and shit.
I think we should
something like that.
I think in the comment section below, let us know, should we get a championship belt or should we get a trophy? I think the commission, man, we should have a conversation about get something like that together. I'm pretty sure all of the guys could pitch in and get something. Plus, it'd be nice to like do the show and have it like right behind me. All
Two
right,
of them from the past, right?
Anything else, bro? Before we go,
Nah, man, I'm good. Let's get
all right,
into it.
let's go to the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, a brief moment to recap the Lights Out Fantasy Football League. Lights Out League, where you never know what Nelson will do next.
All right, so now that we're in our 2 cents, my boy Rye can't be here, so I'm gonna give you his cents. All right, and you're gonna start it for us. What's your sense?
Man, my 2 cents, man. It was rivalry week. I really wanted to win this week. Obviously, it being Ryan, we kind of have a little rival. He's won some, I've won some.
Mm-hmm.
Early on Sunday, man, I had all my gifts ready, man. They were ready for the night.
Yeah.
And then that Kelsey game happened with Bucker and him getting 10 more points, and then
Mm-hmm.
Wilson doing what he's doing this year, ridiculous. I kind of settled in Sunday night that I was losing. So it didn't hurt me as much on Monday when I try not, like on Mondays, if I'm down, I'll try not to watch the game until like 10:30, and I'll just forward to it and just look for like those Yahoo things on my phone to see if there's like a touchdown and shit, but I didn't see that come through. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I won. So
Yeah.
And he's quiet about it. He's not saying anything, which, it's fine. I said good game. He didn't respond. We're going to leave it where it is. Hopefully we'll meet in the playoffs. And,
Well, you know what he'll say. He'll say, I'll be in the playoffs.
I'll be in the playoffs. So, if you're there, I'll see you there, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, this week, maybe a little more just to beat him, but you know what? If I get him in the playoffs, full roster, I feel confident in my team. We'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it's always a fun game between the two. I mean, the fact that the two of you build good lineups and you're not like top heavy in any way with your starting lineups,
Right.
because we're talking about, one game to win it all. I don't care about what's on my bench. Like, we're talking about what I'm putting as a starting lineup. I think pound for pound, you two, or talent for talent, player for player, you two probably have lineups that rival each other.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that have some really good lineups. I mean, you take London, for instance. I mean, he doesn't have Sanders, doesn't have Cook, and he's still putting up over 100. You watch some of his moves on the wire were very quietly Higgins and Herbert and just a couple other ones he got that trade for McKinnon. I mean, those could pay off a little bit later on, especially Higgins. I think he was a real quiet pickup, and the way they're using him, and Burrow's going to throw. I mean, I think he's going to be someone in the playoffs that's probably going to be able to get him a win or something.
Yeah, and I think you just did a great job of like segueing into my sense. And my sense is the fact that I think the biggest complaint or the misconception is that if you're in the top of like the standings and you have a bad waiver, then you suffer because of it. Now you look at a guy like Dead Prez and what you just said, sneaky pickups. So he's preemptive with his pickups. So my sense is stop listening to these experts. You're watching these games, so you see some people that could be involved. Matchups are important, right? So there are people in front of your eyes that on Sunday are balling, but you're going and picking up Joe Schmo because some guy looked at stats and said that he's the better play.
Definitely.
Right? I think we fall into that trap, and even us, bro. Like, how many experts do we listen to?
There's a lot of them, man.
Right? And what makes them an expert?
Right. They know what we know. They're not calling the plays. I mean, a perfect example was McKinnon last week. I had him in my other league. He's going to get his third start, and all along, he was going to sit. So I got nothing from him in my other league. And I'm like, dude, and then Wilson. Every time he gets the opportunity, this guy's a monster. Every single time.
That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so early in the year, everybody tried to make it seem like Tevin Coleman was going to be, when Tevin Coleman went down, it was McKinnon. Everybody said it was McKinnon. I picked up Wilson and I started him only because I watch Shanahan, and for the last few years when his running back gets hurt, Wilson is his guy for some reason.
Yeah, he's dependable. I remember that week because it's the week you beat me when you put him in the flex.
If you look at the stat sheet, right, Wilson's not going to pop out.
No.
So he's not going to be on the pick him now because he scored 30 points but he got a high ankle sprain. Now he's a guy to look at.
Right. So if he's ever there and Mostert's hurt, that's the guy you're going to go. It's not going to be Hasty or McKinnon.
Yeah.
You're going to get him and you start him probably at that point.
Yeah. So it's just, I think you watch the games, know about the coaches a little bit, like do your own research. I think it's easier now, especially if you say you're busy, if you're commuting, you're on a train or something like that, just grab your phone and type up a person's name, look them up, like stop relying on other people for research because we're falling in love with names. And if you look at the people that constantly lose, it's because they fall in love with names and they fall in love with projections.
Right. They're not fantasy guys, a lot of them. OBJ is the perfect example.
Yeah.
As good as he is, I mean, how is it that he comes out and then that offense starts slinging? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
All of a sudden
your
it
best
works.
players out there, and all of a sudden now you're a run team with him, and then Higgins and these other guys come in, and all of a sudden you're throwing 5 touchdowns?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so it's by no mistake that we watch the games. If you feel like you don't watch the games and you need the help, then, by all means, and, that's why you maybe source someone that does. But a lot of these times, and I gotta repeat it, stop falling in love with names. What I did was, before we close this off, is I tried to prove a point the last 2 weeks. I tried to stop falling in love with the names of my players and just going with, like, what's the matchup and how do I feel about this person's, like, involvement in the offense, right? How do I feel like the game? I started doing more than what, like, the standard is, which is bam, I'm plugging my players and this is it.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you did it, man. I mean, I don't think anybody else would have sat Evans and Jacobs. Like, I thought you did it because maybe you just thought you were gonna lose, and you were like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna put it like that.
No, never sacrifice points, man. Never.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so to me, I said, if this was gonna be my floor week, right, let me go out with players that are great matchups, right, and players that I know are gonna at least give me what the projection says is gonna give me. Nothing below that. So if I got a measly 80, I got an 80 with that team, right?
Right. No, makes sense.
But I plugged it away. I just did something different. And the reason I wanted to say it, and to circle back to my point, is that I trusted my gut more last week than I have in the last few years, and the last 2 weeks, I would say. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to go out and do that every week, but I think that it goes to say that every single one of you have a gut call that you have to make. Let yourself be the final call for it.
No, I totally agree. It makes sense.
And that's my sense. Exactly. All right. So let's move on into recapping last week's matchup. So, John, since this is my account, it starts with my matchup. Right. And it was rivalry week, like you mentioned. It was and obviously I was playing against Will, who's my boy, man. It's like my little brother. So it was looking good for him. I even GG'd to him.
The moment you said good game, I had a feeling that you were gonna come back. Like you and like Mike, every time it seems like it's over, all of a sudden, like these bomb games happen. And as soon as you said that, he didn't respond. I swear the moment you said, I'm like, he's gonna get a big game tonight. And it happened. And Lockett just went crazy, which is he's zoned to do that. And you knew that game was gonna go back and forth.
Yeah. The funny part about the Lockett game is like, if you look, he's that guy, man. Like, I think the last 3 years, the stat was the last 3 years he has 25 touchdowns. I think he leads. But you don't. But if you line him up with all of the receivers that are in that category, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't.
So it's easy to overlook him.
Yeah. Definitely.
Kirk. I played Kirk over Evans. I just felt like, you know what, Seattle.
I'm right.
Yeah, Evans with Godwin in there, he might be on his way out. Who knows? But Evans is like a week-to-week guy, right? Like if Godwin doesn't play, Evans is a lock to play.
Right, and he's a better start at that point. Like even with that, we'll get into the trade after, but I feel like with other people coming in, he's going to be overlooked. He's not going to get the same targets he was getting without Godwin. So yeah. I think, good move on your part on that. And Kirk, he's getting more work every week.
Yeah.
So, he's one of those boom and bust, like a Hardman or something, but with a little more floor.
Yeah.
in that offense. So I think, good starts. Swift gave you a nice game. Rodgers was good.
Mm-hmm.
For Will, I mean, he got the quarterback points,
Yeah, I think he's got a good one. I think Wentz. If I don't want to like tell people how they're playing their game. I just think that it pays to be patient sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. He got a nice defense too. 26 points. It looked good, man. Between Myers and Kirk and Lockett, it just went crazy. I kind of felt bad. I was like, damn, man. Now he's got dead presidents. I'm like, McCaffrey can't come back soon enough. He's got to get back.
Well, we'll talk about that. It looks like positive news coming up for that. But other than that, we'll move on to the next matchup. The next matchup in our league. Sorry, man. This is okay. So I have HHM who put up, this is not like a mistake when I say this. He put up 161 points in standard scoring.
It's crazy.
161 to 109. It's unfortunate for Suicide Squad because you feel like 109 normally and especially with the moves he made, you feel like 109 will put you in a position to win normally.
Get you a win for sure. You just had, ceiling week. Whenever like Jones doesn't play or Adams doesn't play, he usually just peppers those guys. And with Adams, that's the second game this year that he's done that. Mm-hmm. His whole thing is, being injured. But they're not going to do that when Jones is playing. But they're still going to be solid numbers.
My God, those numbers are just ridiculous.
They're crazy. That's what 66 right there. 66, and then I like the rest of his lineup. Shit at the bed. He even started Jamal Williams. Jones out. He had him on the bench. Kamara, Hunt. 30 points from your running backs.
We talk about the kicker. We talk about the kicker. Yeah, even Cook. He made a great catch too. And if you look at Lutz, another one of those guys that when he saw those kickers go off, he went and got his guy.
That was a good pickup. Yeah, man. That's him, Tucker, Bucker. Zerline until this year.
Well, Zerline because of Dak, right? Like you keep Dak.
Right. Now there's no Dak. There's no opportunities.
No.
That's the problem.
With Suicide Squad at 1-6, the guy has made moves. He's tried to keep himself in the race. Robinson looked great last week, 27 points.
Sure. Yeah, he did.
He's not going to lose his job. I think that everyone's kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop and him to like be phased out. He's the only thing working on that team.
Who's going to take it from him at this point? Ain't going to be Chris Thompson, that's for sure.
Nah, he's on. He's still. Did he get?
He's still on I think he's still on the list. Okay. Then the Armstead guy ain't playing anymore. He's going to get a good amount of work where he might even finish a running back 1, running back 2 high end.
Yeah, just look at the numbers though. I was at the time it moved that maybe it was a head scratcher, but you look at it now and you're like, wow.
Not bad. 2 weeks in, it's pretty even.
Yeah, it's a pretty good trade. Anything else on this matchup before we move on?
No, we're good.
All right, so let's go over to the next one, and the next one is our boy Pooty. Oh man, Pooty put up 98, man. And Dead Prez put up 114 with literally that's like their floor team, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like their B team out there.
It is like their B team, man. But Murray, man. That's the story with him. Murray's just 30 plus every week, and like you said last week, when you can get that from your quarterback weekly, it's gonna be hard to lose. And and it's just his team. Even like I said, Higgins, good pickup. Tampa Bay defense probably good all year now. He's going to get a couple of games out of them. Mm-hmm. For Pooty, he put up a good lineup. He got 40 out of Burrow, which is
that was crazy. A waiver wire pickup too.
That was a waiver wire pickup, right? And probably he might even be able to start on the rest of the year. Goff's all right, but they're more of a run defense, so that's probably a start on the great matchups, rest of the year.
If you look at pass attempts, I think Cincinnati's probably top 5, easy.
It's insane. And like I was telling Ricky, I was like, Gio is just a better fit for that offense.
100%.
With the throwing and everything, I don't know. I just remember
they're not like a ground and pound. They're not like a methodical drive. If they do, it's with the passing game.
Right. That's how they opened it up because their line is not that great, and that's always been the problem. Mixon's a freak. He could do it all. but it just fits Gio's style more. You know, you can just see it in how they play and what they want to do. You know, they don't want to be that ground and pound like the Rams.
And it's not because
they want to be able to pass.
And it's not because you have Gio, right?
No, of course not. I mean, it's not like I want him starting or anything. I mean, I remember Gio a couple of years ago on PPR when he started. He was the man. Yeah,
the only thing about Gio, and we'll talk about that later, is that Gio, he gets hurt. You know, unfortunately. So, yeah. But everybody could, right, in the NFL. Something that I would like to know is that Kyler Murray again keeps the steady stream of points coming in, 44 points in a matchup like against basically like big brother, right? Russell Wilson.
Yeah. They're the same person. The way they run those 20-yard runs. I mean, when it was overtime, I was like, Murray, just call your own number and run. The way he goes side to side, there's no one stopping him.
Nah.
He's so accurate too.
Yeah, I think his agility and the fact that he can change direction and like reroute himself, and it's just these small changes that he makes that really makes it difficult for these bigger defenders to like readjust. And you'll see him sometimes circling back, and you'll say, why is he doing that? And it's that slight move.
Yeah,
that gives him that room. It's nice to watch. It's really good.
It's good to watch. I mean, if he was there in that seventh, he was my quarterback, but he made a good pick. And what did he get him in the sixth?
Man, I didn't even notice. Hold on, AJ Brown put up 21.
20. I mean, look at that offense. I mean, they're starting to feed AJ Brown too. You know, they're feeding AJ Brown. Metcalf has a bad game. He starts Harris and Clement and still gets 114 points. Yeah. And look at that bench. I mean, Herbert got more points than his starting quarterback.
Wow.
And he's on his bench.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, for Pooty, I mean, he's got a good team. I mean, Jackson, he's just hit and miss, you know, although he got 20 carries the other week.
Yeah,
and Kelly's flooding.
This game, the weird thing is that he got less snaps and less touches than Kelly.
Yeah, it's just that the offensive line sucks, so Herbert's got to do it all on his own.
Yeah.
So until Eckler comes back, I mean, they're going to keep splitting. It's going to be, you don't know what week you're going to get out of either one of them. Yeah. Kelly looked promising, but he's kind of, you know.
He looks tentative. I think ever since the fumbles, they might have gotten on him. Yeah. I think he looks so concerned about. You remember when? I know you're old enough to remember this, bro. So I could bring this up. So you remember when Tiki Barber had those fumbling issues?
Yeah.
That at a certain point he just got so tentative. He wasn't running the same. He was running with two hands. Remember?
Two hands on the ball, just not to lose it.
And they were saying that that's no way to run. If you look at Kelly, he's done that at some points.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to get on you. It's like Singletary, same thing. I mean, these running backs, they got to learn how to protect the ball. If you lose the ball, you're going to be on the sideline.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Hopefully he can clean it up because he did look really good. He looked powerful. He looked confident. Now he just looks super tentative. And yeah, another point that you brought up, their offensive line is one of the worst in the league. So you don't really expect them to do much. This offense was built for Eckler, dump offs, you know, like help protect me. You know what I mean? Like help me out here. But that's how the running back was going to succeed with the Chargers this year. Anything else with this matchup before we move on?
Man. I mean, Pooty is just looking average as, you know.
Yeah. This next matchup is at the time it was Let's Not versus Let's Go. Shooter got another win. Shooter's on a win streak. I think this is 4 straight, 92 points, and Let's Go put up 48 points. I think
there's a word for that. We're gonna have to call that Abdullah at this point. Yeah. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah. And you know, he got penalized 5 points. The commish penalized him 5 points for his second infraction of leaving an inactive player in the lineup with Tyler Higbee on Monday night. Right. So that the third one is what is the third one? 10 points?
I think it's 10, yeah.
Oh wow. All right, so you're on the watch, man. Will you get -10?
Possible. I mean, on paper he's got a nice team. They just, you know, Mahomes didn't have to do much. I mean, Claypool, you know, Deontay Johnson back, you know, he was gonna get a share of that.
Let me ask you a question. Claypool, the way he was hyped up, the way he was going. If you have Claypool, you don't look at the number that he has now, right? Like, don't look at his fantasy points now. Would you start him if he would have been? Last week. Let's say you have him. You look at your lineup. Would you have started him?
Definitely. Even with Johnson. I mean, Juju, you know, he's kind of been fading back. The thing about Pittsburgh is that, you know, Big Ben, he doesn't force it to one guy anymore. He used to with Juju the last year when they
No, he
played. But
doesn't.
he's spreading it out now. It's going to Washington. It's going to Johnson. It's going to Schuster. And it's going to Claypool. You would think they would want to keep that going with Claypool. They just didn't give him the opportunities he needed, to be. I mean, you line him up like a Graham on the right and just throw it up. I mean, he's catching every one.
Yeah.
Free. But they didn't use him like that. So it's disappointing getting the -20 from him. And then even Samuel, he's a good player and just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy, man. And
Can't stay healthy.
The way he plays, you don't see him staying healthy.
No, his style.
Yeah.
I mean, Freeman, Higbee.
Yeah.
A lot of falters there. I mean, for Ricky, I mean, shit. San Francisco defense came alive. Gurley is falling into the end zone even when he doesn't want to.
Yo, for real. Don't do
it.
He
doesn't want to. He's falling in. I'm sure Ricky enjoyed the fact he did fall in. But you look at that trade now. I mean, Keith was laughing about it in week 1, but I mean, he's produced.
Yeah,
that's the win right there.
And where's Brian Hill? Where's Brian Hill?
Right. Brian Hill has done nothing. Right.
He's on the waiver wire. He's on the waiver wire.
Jeez, I might have to look him up after this.
Yo, for real.
Just in case.
Tyreek Hill, the steady Eddie, 11 points, easy on a one catch, 55-yard touchdown. That's a day at office.
Why couldn't that be Kelsey?
Yeah. Hunter Henry, you're gonna get days like this from him, but you love that quarterback in that offense. So you pretty much he has 2 good tight ends. He has 2 really good ones.
At this point, he's got to go Gronk. I mean, Henry, when they put up as many points as they did, and he's only getting 23 yards. I mean, man, I understand he likes Keenan and he has those other deep bomb guys, but you got to get Henry over the middle. I mean, he's got to be a 5-6 target guy, 60 yards and a touchdown weekly.
You know what happens? And I think Josh Allen is like this. I think that there are certain guys that when they go through their progressions, they start on the outside and they stay on the outside. There's some guys that they automatically go to their check down and go underneath. So they'd rather play it safe. Now, the other guys that like going deep, they probably take more sacks and they're probably susceptible to more turnovers. The guys that are willing to go to the tight end to check it down, those are the guys that probably are safer. Don't throw as many picks, maybe have less turnovers, but those are the guys that are less like eye popping. So I think that's what I start looking at now too. Does this guy really look at his tight end? Because if he doesn't, it doesn't matter how good you look.
Right. Eventually, you're gonna need that tight end to help you out in a couple of plays. He's got and Henry's a talented young guy, man. Yeah. And this is a contract year for him, isn't it?
I think so. He's really good, man. He's so good.
I don't know. Yeah. I think it's a nice little build there with Allen and Henry and Herbert, and get Eckler going, get a better line next year. They'll just be a better overall team. Their defenses feel bad for Derwin James constantly getting hurt. He could be a top safety in the league if you just stay healthy.
Yeah, that defense is even better if he's there. Imagine how scary that is.
Oh my God. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so let's go 48. I mean, come on. What else can I say about that? Next, let's go to the next matchup, and it's our boy Keith, The Last Dance, going up against UAA. And The Last Dance with 97, UAA with 62. Wow. Josh Allen, a fumble. They had 2 touchdowns called back. I think one was a penalty, and another one, I think both of them were, or another one was like a tight end that fell.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had 2 touchdowns. So the game looks different, right? I know one of them was called back. Stephon Diggs, I think he got banged up in this game, didn't he?
A little bit, yeah. Didn't see as many targets. It was a Beasley game. They just went underneath. And like I told you last week, when that Titans game, I just remember the second half when he was just throwing to Beasley those 6 straight. I mean, Beasley gets separation fast. Mm-hmm. So when he throws 6 passes in a row to him, I would just keep feeding him at that point.
Yeah, because it works.
And it's good for Allen. It could work on his accuracy. Even if it's a little off, Beasley catches everything.
Yeah.
Last week, I think they tried to do that, but I mean, they got to run the ball better. Yeah. I mean, 18-10 against the Jets just isn't getting it done.
Yo, so if you look at the red zone possessions for the Bills against the Jets, they're like 3 for 13. Against the rest of the league, they're like at 70%.
Jets stepped up at that point, I guess, you know.
The reason I say it is because just beware of those division games.
Yeah, they know you well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Gase, you know, great coach, right, Keith?
Yo, yeah, genius. Yo, that's a low blow, bro. We trying to get him back on the chat.
Yeah, that's it.
Gibson, man, keep using the guy. We knew that last week my under the radar was the Washington backfield, and I said they were gonna have 25 touches, 140 yards, and a touchdown. They got 27 touches, 170 yards, and a touchdown.
Jeez, that's pretty close, pretty accurate there. Yeah, Gibson was just one of those guys where, you know, why go with McKissick, you know, when he's just, you know, he's a veteran, but go with Gibson. He's a young guy, you know, he's getting more and more work, and he's shown to be talented. I mean, at this point, you just got to let him go, man. Let him fly at this point.
The next thing before we move on, Kenyon Drake, Edmonds has been freed. No offense, you know what I mean, but Edmonds has been freed. I think that if you're the Last Dance, you love this, right? Like,
you're feeling good about it.
Yeah, because Edmonds fits that offense. You talk about fitting an offensive style, and Edmonds is like, that offense was built for his skill set.
Absolutely. I think he gets better. I mean, quarterback situation, he might need to make a move before the deadline. I mean, to really solidify. But I mean, Allen, Moore, Gibson, Edwards. I mean, Jonah had a bad game, but overall, he's got a nice team too. Quietly,
yeah.
You know, he's still winning. He's still there. I mean, Nelson though.
And he's quietly. Another thing he's doing is he's quietly fattening up on the waiver wire.
Who's that? Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a couple of guys that he stacked up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hasty was a good pickup, you know, depending on what happens. But Cousins for this week, yeah, he's making some moves.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
Nelson though,
I mean, you know, he's made a move. I think that you take a risk when you move on from the best player, right? Like, so, basically kind of what I did, but you know.
Yeah.
You know, Odell going down, dude, like, regardless of what you think of Odell, like, that sucks, bro, right? Like, Hyde, that might be good news.
Yeah,
right?
He might get a little run. Hopefully not this week.
Yeah, let's go on to the last matchup we have to recap, and that was Gator John against a Dismantlegate. Which is this is the rivalry one. This is the reason, according to the commission, this is the reason a rivalry week existed. So Gator John with 90 and Dismantlegate with 102. What happened here, bro?
Crazy. I mean, you know, obviously Zeke, you know, disappointed, but I mean, when I look at this, and I've looked at it a few times, I mean, they say special teams doesn't matter, but that's where he won it. I mean, Bucker, Philadelphia 24. And Pittsburgh and Zerline 8.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the rest of it kind of matched up. You know, I don't care about the Kelsey game. He got 0 with his tight end. He did enough. You know, he did enough to win, and you know, kudos to him, man. I mean, he got it off this week.
Yeah.
What happens? And look, he's got a good team, man. I mean, he's pretty solid now with Wilson. I mean, he's really become better. Robinson, although the offense doesn't really fit him on the Bears, he's still a dangerous guy, going to get 10 targets.
Yep.
Galladay's been their freak. I mean, he has the best running back combo in the league, Henry and Jones.
100%.
Without a doubt. You know, Andrews, if he's on that same week, you know, it's a problem. And, you know, he's got a good kicker, and he's streaming defenses. I mean, so.
Yeah.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
Gotta look out for him. He might be a move away. Maybe he wants to make another move. But overall, you know, he's got a solid team.
Yeah,
he'll be on the waiver a lot too. So
with you, you made a move that we talked about it. You traded Tannehill for Fuller. Right. So Fuller ended up paying off, man.
Yeah, he's been a good pickup for me. I got the stack going with them.
Yeah. Or that stack is really nice, especially in the flex, because it's like you don't have to like really hope for like 20s every week. You know what I mean? Like with him, you could be like, man, if I get a touchdown, then that's 2 touchdowns right there.
It's good. Yeah. That's kind of the thought process when I got him to stack it. But I mean, I don't know. I look at my team and I mean, I think it looks all right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's at championship level. I don't know if I need to make a move or not. I mean, I'm looking at a few players that maybe haven't taken off yet,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe might not. And I feel like I want to move two of them, but I don't know. I'd have to get a good amount back. I'm always trying to see if there's another Nelson deal out there, but you know, it's hard. I can't go to Nelson now because he doesn't have as much talent on his pool there. So
Yeah.
gotta look around.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. The only way to like gauge these trades.
Give up like you did today. I mean, talk about the trade.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Let me recap the standings real quick because I do want to get into where we are right now. And right now, Dead Presidents locked in at number 1, 7-0. Myself at second place at 5-2. My boy John here at third place. We got Ryan in fourth place. HHM in fifth. Our boy Michael Turner in sixth. Shooter. Seventh, we got The Last Dance. Eighth, we have Averages. We got Pootie. Ninth, we have UAA. 10th, we have Kanye Shrug, Not Amused. 11th, Suicide Squad, and 12th, Let's Go. Repeat. What stands out to you here on the standings?
Man, I mean, when I look at the top 5, I feel like they're always there, right? They're always going to be there. Mm-hmm. I feel like between Ricky and Keith, that's kind of like for the 6th spot. Mm-hmm. I mean, Pootie, to me, like Pootie every year, he always has a decent team, but like he just gets the bad end of the stick sometimes.
Yeah, I think health also really plays a big role in his like, his team like at the end really not getting to where
getting it done, right? Yeah. I mean, what stands out? I mean, HHM right now looks scary, man. At 4-3, 762 points. Those trades he made, I mean, it just kind of puts him on the higher end, puts him kind of, with Dead Prez. I feel like him and Dead Prez, like, it feels like last year with Dead Prez. Like my team last year was really good, and all year it was just steady, and it was like, you know what, this guy's probably going to win. It feels like that with him, although he hasn't taken a loss yet.
Right.
I feel like he needs to take a loss. I think last year I was 6-1 or somewhere around there, 7-1, and then I finally lost. And I feel like he's at that point with his team where he needs to take a loss, but I mean, it's going to be health for him, right? I wish he had Addison to back up Cook.
Yeah.
You wish he did that, but the way he drafted was more for, young, skillful players that, next year just blow up, and that's what he got in Brown and Metcalf and Murray and so on, and he got Kittle and Steele in the third.
He did really good with that. And I think we talked about it when we did the draft recap of how he drafted a lot of second-year players, a lot of high upside second-year players. So that might be something for people to consider when they're thinking about their draft strategies next year.
Sure.
And some of these players that we're looking at here, and there's a lot of rookies that are really doing well now. So you can only imagine another year under their belt, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now you start seeing here the points. With the exception of HHM, you start seeing who those people that are gonna like start struggling to win a tiebreaker.
Right. Yeah,
that's the key.
Putting up some points.
Yeah, because it's either you got to get the wins or you have to get the points.
Right, and just like Mike touched last week, you could be 6-7, 7-6, and still make it. Mm-hmm. It's one of those leagues where everyone's super competitive, and that's what it looks like it's going to come down to. But once you get the 6 in, anything can happen, right? You can go 13-0, but you get that one bad week. That's it. No matter what you do.
Before we move on, I'm gonna say this, and I think that this right here will like really clear up the picture here, or will like tell you where we are. I was telling Pootie that I felt like 6 and 7 could potentially, the way that the competitive nature of this league, 6 and 7 could potentially be in the running. But the only way that I see that happening is Suicide Squad and Let's Go have to get competitive.
For sure.
They have to start getting wins because I think Will will start getting his wins.
Yeah, McCaffrey comes back.
Yeah.
A couple upsets, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pootie's team gets, I think a little bit better as well. He might be able to get a couple wins. Just
Yeah,
depends
because
on
I mean, like
matchups.
you think about Pootie, right? And we'll talk about the deal in a little bit, but he just got better at running back, and he got Chubb still there, right?
Right. I was thinking about it before I came on, and the hope is that Fournette eventually takes over that backfield.
Which
Now you got three solid backs,
Mhm.
and then you got Woods, and who's his other
and
receiver?
CeeDee Lamb, which you don't need more. When you have a trio like that, you don't really need more from them.
You don't really need a good second receiver. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's been special, but now, he's going to fall off a little bit like all Dallas receivers.
I don't think he will because he plays in the slot.
We need Dalton back to get him the ball.
Yeah.
Kind of what it's going to come down to. If you ain't got Dalton,
Yeah,
I mean,
and Gallup, you need Gallup needs him too, huh?
oh man, I was about to dump him, but I'm still not doing it. I'm gonna give him a couple. I feel like he could be a winner at the end, with the right. I don't know. I'm just gonna hold on to him. I mean, I think he's gonna be all right.
Bro, if you dropped him, the league will never let you hear it. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll hold him.
All right, let's move on to the future. Week 8 is among us. And the first matchup, it's obviously my account. So the first matchup is mine and Michael Turner himself. So let me tell you a little backstory about our names. I don't know if you know why we have these names. So in 2013, Shooter was drafting, and one of his picks, I don't know if it was an early pick, but he drafted Michael Turner, who had, I think, announced retirement or tore his ACL or something.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, so I think he meant to draft someone else, and he messed up and drafted Michael Turner. I want to say that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And he ended up with him, and he was so pissed off that he ended up like El Azaroso de Michael Turner, like that motherfucking Michael Turner.
So that's why he changed your name.
So I've always loved that name. I always tell him that's one of my favorite names that I've ever seen in fantasy. And he didn't know that I was going to change it to that, but I did notice that he's been trolling people and changing his thing to other people. So
you figure you do the same.
I wanted to get a leg up and just bring it back. And I saw what he changed it to earlier, but when he changed it to this, I was like, okay, yeah, nah. Because to me, he's right now in the running of troll MVP, personally.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah,
he was acquired early, but he's coming around.
Nah,
I mean, when you win, you start trolling a little more. You lose, you're quiet. Unless you're me, you just keep going,
bro, you just troll
all year trolling.
Yeah. In this matchup, we have right now it's looking like Bridgewater is going to be in there as opposed to Lamar Jackson going against Pittsburgh. You see Tannehill in there. He just made the move for him. Tannehill's been solid against Cincinnati. We don't see any reason why he shouldn't perform there. Right. Adam Thielen against Green Bay, that's going to be tough. Division game, so does it change the fact that he faces them twice a year?
Right.
Gurley, I mean, Carolina, all you need to know is that they're like one of the worst, if not the worst on defense in the league. Dallas is number 2, I believe. So, Gurley's in a smash spot. Mixon, you hope he plays, right? But if he does, then how limited is he with that toe?
Right.
Right.
And then you got Gronk in there. I mean, Gronk looks like he's coming back around to that old Gronk. I mean, getting 5-6 targets a game. He's looking his way. He's a better quarterback when he's going his way.
Yeah, 100%.
Just knowing where he's going to be and just the experience. And then his flex, man, Gaskin. I mean, Gaskin is like a James Robinson. They're getting the work on 2 guys that you didn't even see on the radar that were on that waiver wire for 2-3 weeks. And here they are taking over. Like you said, names. You think Breida. They bring in Howard. They bring in Howard. They bring in Breida. You think 2-headed monster right there. This isn't going to work for Gaskin. And now Gaskin getting 20 touches a game. Howard's barely active. And Breida, Breida's not going to do anything for you.
No, Breida, I think Breida is there as a reliever. As a security blanket. So if Gaskin goes down, because they kind of have a similar skill set. Gaskin might have a little more pop at the end of his runs, but I think they're pretty much the same player. I'm glad you mentioned that, dude, because as soon as you mentioned Myles Gaskin, I was like, the name, right? Because it's not, he's not the popular name. But I'm glad you mentioned that because he is the epitome of stop looking at the name.
Right.
Right?
He's been producing. I mean, same for
Yeah.
Robinson. I mean,
Yeah.
early in the year when he traded for Robinson, I thought it was just for the Cups, but Robinson ended up giving Ryan a couple of good weeks too.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at my side over there, you'll see some empty spots. And initially I had Josh Jacobs, and I was big on him, and I still am, right? But I just felt like, looking at the season the way it is, that I'm comfortable with my running back position not being my best position.
Right. No, but I mean, you stack up your wide receivers now.
Yeah.
You know,
So the deal was I sent over Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, and Josh Jacobs handcuffed Devontae Booker over to Pooty, and Pooty sending over DeAndre Hopkins, David Johnson, and Duke Johnson.
it's a good deal, I think, for both of you. Like I told you earlier, I like Jacobs he hasn't been as consistent, really lived up to his first round. I think for Pooty getting him, he's probably trying that whole him and Chubb kind of thing. He's going to get a little weaker at wide receiver, but he's got the cuff and everything. And then for you, I mean, I like it for you. I mean, I really like, although DJ is not a high ceiling guy, he's going to get you 8 to 12 on a weekly basis. There's nobody else there taking any touches.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hopkins, man, you're getting, I mean, at the end of the day, there could be a time where Green, maybe, I mean, it's funny that you took Green the week after I dropped him, after you said I was watching him, and now he's had 2 pretty solid weeks. I should have probably kept him. But there could be a point where you can have in that offense, you can have Green and you can start Lockett, and you ain't got to worry really about the running backs. You just go 3 wide receivers.
Yeah. And
one at that point.
And then I'm thinking about Mostert, who's down the road. I could see him as like a waiver wire pickup, right? Like if he comes back, good. DeAndre Swift, you see him, his work is upticking. So even if he stays at the workload that he's getting now, he's so explosive that I'm willing to take a chance on someone that's yards per touch is better than someone whose yards per carry is 3.8. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're getting 15 carries if your yards per carry is 3.8.
Right. That reminds me of the Tevin Coleman game earlier in the year. He had like 14 carries for 12 yards. It's ridiculous.
What?
It was so bad. I was like, man, I was about to drop him right there, and then he went on IR. I was like, you know what? Let's just keep him at this spot.
So you know what it is? We're gonna bring back pick time. It's pick time, man. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who you got here?
I mean, until you really set your lineup, man, I can't see it. I think this one's gonna, because you never know who you're gonna pick up and throw in there to get you 20, in each spot. So it's a tough one. I mean, I feel like Mixon is probably gonna miss this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's gonna probably throw Gaskin in there, and probably, I mean, he's probably gonna go with both Minnesota receivers if that's the case, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, just because he has his lineup set, and I don't know what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll go with him based on the lineup he has right now if they all play.
Yeah. I'm picking Shooter also.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're on the same page here then.
Yeah, we are. Yo, Shooter. Hey, Shooter, man. I'm rooting for you for MVP, bro. I got you. Troll MVP. You the one, bro. I think John might want to take his title for the 4th straight year, bro. Next matchup here is our commish HHM. Go. Oh, wow, he's facing The Last Dance, bro.
That's a good one.
Hold on, Cam Newton's on a bench. What?
I mean, after he gets you 2 points and the way they looked, I mean, Buffalo defense. I mean, he just hasn't looked that good. I don't know if it's just a year off or a COVID thing. That offense, they have no number ones. It's hard to watch him play. He's just not at that MVP level that he once was. The surgeries he had, I don't know. It's tough. He had those few weeks where he was running them in, give him some value. Mm-hmm. But they're not even getting downfield anymore with that offense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cousins, Green Bay, they're going to have to score. It's kind of like what Ryan did with Cousins a couple weeks ago when he started him. You knew he was going to get points. It was a shootout. So he's probably going for that right now. I feel better about Cousins than I do Newton this week to get points, which he's going to need.
Yeah, I guess the only reason that I give it a mulligan is because it's a division game. But otherwise, you find it hard pressed for me to root for Kirk Cousins. Although fantasy, he turns out Thielen has been really good, so he's not completely terrible. But just because the receiver's relevant fantasy wise doesn't mean, you know what I mean. I'm not trying to give away too much, but Allen still to this day remains to be one of the best picks in the draft.
7th round, man. It was. I mean,
especially if you look at Herbert.
Now with Herbert, if Herbert started, well, you wouldn't really know, but Allen should always probably be a 4th, 5th round pick. Now with Herbert next year, he's probably going to be in the 3rd round. Yeah. He's such a great route runner. When you watch him play, the separation between like him, Ridley, Beasley, like it's just, and he's looking at him. He's getting 10 plus targets with Tyrod. That's why he fell to the 7th. You're like, we've seen Tyrod. We know. So we're like, you got to devalue Allen at that point when you know what Tyrod does. Mm-hmm. The fact he got him in the 7th, I mean, in the beginning it was like a little bit like, he was a 7th. But now, 10 targets a game, possible touchdown. Even Moore's having a couple of decent games. Look at CEH. Although he's not scoring touchdowns like crazy, he's still double digits, getting 20 touches. And although Bell's going to take some run from him, he's still going to get the majority.
Yeah, I think it'll work for both of them. I think Bell.
There's enough balls.
100%. That Rodgers and Devontae Adams stack is always dangerous. You got Julio on Thursday night. You got Kamara. I mean, the names, they pop out once you get from the top there. But I think that this matchup will come down to the quarterback. I believe it or not, I just feel like DJ Moore is in a boom spot going against Atlanta, right? I think that's a really good matchup for him. Allen, he's gonna eat. Edwards-Helaire against the Jets, a touchdown this week, maybe, right?
I would think so.
Hasty against Seattle. The one thing Seattle does well is stop the run. So, we'll see what happens here. Jonnu Smith, you love Jonnu Smith, and I love Jonnu Smith, man. Just like I like Jared Cook, So I just feel like comparing him, looking at him, obviously, I think he's HHM is more top heavy. This is going to come down to the quarterback. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to take HHM to win.
I mean, you look at those first 5 for HHM. I mean, it's like Tecmo bullshit right there, I mean, and then you look at the rest of it. I mean, Cook is one of those guys going to get you 2 or 10, with a touchdown. Jamal Williams, depending if, Aaron Jones plays. Mm-hmm. And then Lutz and Buffalo. I mean, all year they've been pretty solid for him, unless last week. If you can get between Lutz and your defense about 20 to 22, I mean, 10-10, that's solid on a weekly basis. And he's been getting that. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Zach Moss is going to start getting some more work here in the future, I think. Yeah. Start pounding the ball.
He looked
good.
And
then Brown to come in. I mean, and then Eckler, if he comes back, it's a little bit hard to see his team, and obviously nobody wants him to win.
Yeah.
It's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah, so you're picking HHM?
But I mean, this week, I probably got to go HHM this week.
All right. Let's move it on to the next one, and we got Average AF, average as fuck. And Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is on elimination watch pretty soon.
Yeah, he is.
If he isn't already. And Pootie Tang, who just made a move, 3 and 4. So you'll see that he has some empty slots. You can imagine that Mike Evans is going to slot in there. You can imagine that Josh Jacobs is going to slot in there. And now his lineup looks a little bit better this week for this matchup, right?
Yeah, a little bit better. I mean, he still questions at tight end. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Pootie either does like 70 or like loses at 100 or goes like 130.
Yo, for real, right?
That's what he does. I feel like this week, just seeing Suicide Squad, I mean,
Pootie looks scary one week when he beats somebody, and then the next week is like, damn, Pootie, what?
It's just like a downfall. He's just it's the ground. It's ceiling and then it's just ground. It's not even floor. It's just like he's like hitting the cement, man. He's got like 3 weeks of like 70. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, honestly, what he's supposed to get now with the lineup he has, he might end up with 60. You know, that's with 4 missing slots right there.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I mean, he's not going to get 40 from Burrow all the time.
No.
You know, Woods is a nice piece, but you know.
But I think he picked up Burrow at the right time.
He did, because the way they're throwing. I mean, I think Will dropped them at the wrong time. You know,
exactly.
Should have probably kept them. You know,
but it goes to the patience that we were talking about. How it pays to have a little bit of patience with some of these players. Some of these players you should have known, if they play in the AFC North, they're going to play the Ravens twice. They're going to play the Steelers twice. They're going to play the Browns twice, and they're all tough defenses. But maybe if the schedule clears up, you know, maybe there's a buy low in there. Maybe there's a, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's a sell high, because again, I'm not going to teach you how to play fantasy, but not you specifically, Will, but I'm just saying people. I think it pays to just be a little patient.
Yeah, should have probably held on, especially not having a solid every week quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like his draft, I liked it, but he sacrificed the quarterback position to get what he got. You know, like the three running backs, you're not going to get top wide receivers.
Mm-mm.
So that's why you got to balance it all the way through, like some other teams kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked good earlier with McCaffrey. If McCaffrey was still playing, he might be 5-2.
Yeah,
you know, because McCaffrey is one of those guys. But now, you know, a couple of injuries, he's got him coming back. I mean, it's just one of those things. But I mean, back to Pooty here, man.
Yeah, let's go over to Suicide Squad side, because I feel like the guys put together a good team.
He's made moves, right? So some moves weren't as, I don't know how to say it, like they were good moves to rebuild his team after the injury, right? If he still had Barkley, he wouldn't have the team he has now. And who knows, man? Barkley's a great player, but he's always getting hurt. Like, what's his value next year? Is someone really gonna go first round on him or not?
You imagine Barkley, Julio, Russell Wilson?
Right. I mean, just the 3 healthy.
That's what he had.
Yeah, that's what he had. But I mean, he did a good job putting this together based on the pieces he had. I mean, Montgomery he has no lateral movement whatsoever. He's still a running back 1, but he's supposed to get through tackles, but he just doesn't move side to side.
Okay, I got a good comparison for you. David Montgomery, David Johnson, rest of the season.
David Johnson. He's always going to give you that solid 8 to 10. Although Montgomery's getting all the work, Nagy knows how to call. No, he has no offensive game.
I didn't realize that Montgomery didn't have his floor is really bad, man.
Yeah, he's getting about 15 carries and about 5 passes a game.
Wow.
So there's no Cohen. He's getting all the work, but that offense just with Foles, even with Trubisky, and the way he runs and with that line, that was the problem before the draft. I wasn't even looking at him. When Mike took him in the 5th, I was like, and hurt on top of it. It's like, man, you can keep him, even though he's going to get all the work. And you see it now, unless he scores a touchdown.
I just think that offense just looks confused, man.
Disaster.
It doesn't make any sense. So I felt like they had a little more conviction with their follow-up play calling, right? Like setting up plays. I don't see that with that offense anymore. I feel like Nagy is in his head because he came out as Andy Reid's disciple, and all of a sudden he's a mess.
Yeah,
he's a mess.
Yeah,
maybe another one of those guys that are better served being coordinators, right? Like,
for sure.
And there's no shame in that. Anything else in this matchup before we move on?
Nah, man. I see Suicide Squad winning, man. Sorry, Booty.
Oh, you got Suicide Squad?
I got Suicide Squad.
Nah,
even though Ben is gonna play Baltimore, I feel like he's still gonna have to pass a little bit. He's gonna at least probably get 2 touchdowns, 200 yards maybe.
I mean, on one end, we do need Suicide Squad to win.
That's why I want him to win too, and I don't want Pooty to win.
But on another side, I gotta be realistic here.
Think so?
Yeah, man. I just feel like
it's tough. I mean, Burrow.
It is a tough one because you got Suicide Squad that got Montgomery against a tough defense, Jones against a tough defense, Hawkinson against a tough defense, Fulgham could eat, right?
He could blow up.
Yeah, Cooper. I mean, you see those projections drop every week. Now, who's his quarterback? How do you say his name?
I don't even know.
DiGiorno. But that's why I would pick Pooty because of his tough matchups. Yeah.
Sure.
And Ben against Baltimore. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben is at Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't Pittsburgh Ben going against Baltimore. This is
Right.
traveling Ben.
Division game though. I mean, Baltimore's D is lights out.
Yeah, I
wonder
think
if
the
he's
edge
gonna
to me is.
start.
I'm sorry.
I wonder if he's going to start the Baltimore defense. Right now, no. I mean, I guess the Chargers versus Denver is a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
We'll
would
see.
be a close. This would be a close one. This would be
We'll
a close
see.
one.
It'll
I'll
be a
just
fun
go
one.
Suicide Squad. Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. So the next matchup is, oh man, our boy Will. Is he gonna get McCaffrey in time to play Dead Presidents? 2-5 Will against the 7-0 Titan Dead Presidents. Herbert in the starting lineup, obviously, because Kyler's on a bye. So
Nobody
what
with
a
that
bye week replacement.
Yeah, that's a great bye week replacement. I mean, this one's up in the air. I mean, Jeffrey's just coming back.
Yeah,
I wouldn't start him, but he doesn't have many options. I mean, he doesn't have McLaurin. The word is McCaffrey's probably not going to play this week, which it's fine. Mike Davis has been, fit the bill, this whole time. You still got Connor. Baltimore, that's a tough one. Kareem's going to get some more looks, but I mean, it's tough.
Waller's gonna eat.
Yeah. Waller's gonna eat, right?
Piron looked good, but Kansas City's defense, I mean, the only thing you can do against Kansas City is run.
Yeah.
But it's the Jets. So Adam Gase, for whatever it's worth, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah. I mean,
a move is brewing here. I could smell it. I feel like a waiver wire move that he has his eye on, or something like that.
He's got to get someone.
He's another guy that sacrificed in a way his receiver position. He had popular names, but I think he got the high upside guys. McLaurin has been a stud, but I think he's another guy that went the three running back route, right?
And then two receivers.
And two receivers.
And on paper, McLaurin and Shark.
That was
I
amazing.
thought they'd both be studs. Fourth and fifth. It looked good.
Yeah.
But Shark, just injuries and just that offense, he just hasn't been able to get healthy. And McLaurin, who else is going to catch the ball in Washington? I mean, even with Kyle Allen throwing, I mean, you could throw anybody out there at this point. I don't even know their second receiver. It was that guy Sims or something.
Yeah, they got Sims. They got a few people. They still haven't unleashed the rookie. And they got Logan Thomas, obviously, who's like a safety blanket there for them.
Yeah, I know that rookie. What did he come out of? Ole Miss?
A hyphenated guy.
Yeah. I think he's on IR. I know you're talking about that. I liked him coming out of college. I wanted to get him, actually. Like the 4th or the 5th round, they got him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to be all right in the future.
Yeah.
But I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Dead Prez side and you're hoping you get Dalvin Cook back, right? So you plug him in the lineup and it's like, please.
Yeah, he's hoping, but
yeah.
Even without Cook, he could just throw in Harris. He can throw in, Edwards. I would probably throw in Edwards.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah, Edwards and probably Harris. And just that lineup right there will probably give him enough to pull it out. Herbert's not going to get you 40, but I'm sure he'll get you a couple more points than Wentz. And that Jeffrey one, man, I don't know. He hasn't played in a while. He already doesn't get much separation.
Let me tell you about that play, though. It's against Dallas, and if you look
it's against Dallas. Everyone's scoring on Dallas, but
not just scoring on Dallas. Like, they're scoring on Dallas by a lot compared to every other team.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they got Fulgham and Ward and Rodgers, but I don't know. I think they're gonna ease him in. I don't think he's gonna get all those reps. That's
Alshon Jeffrey's whole career is easing him in.
All right, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, He just needs one ball. That's it.
And Kansas City, when next week when we're all talking in the chat, Kansas City will have a touchdown on defense. I'm pretty sure.
Every year they have these blow up games.
Yeah.
2 or 3 games are like 20 plus.
But Connor against Baltimore, it doesn't really scare me much because Connor is one of those guys that he gets involved in a passing game. I'm telling you, I think this could be one of those sneaky games. The only thing is, like, if you look at the beginning of the year and you circle this Philadelphia-Dallas matchup on the calendar, Sunday Night Football, you think it's going to be Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz. Yeah. So it changes Wentz upside a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kittle. Love Kittle against Seattle. My God, I wonder what his numbers against Seattle are, and he's gonna smash him this week.
It's gonna be close. I mean, I think his Tampa defense is gonna put out, double digits on Monday night.
Yeah,
against the Giants, they just look awful.
Damn.
And then either Brown or Metcalf, one of them's gonna go off. Probably Brown.
Yeah.
And Herbert's gonna at least get you. I mean, Herbert's been 300 yards, 2 touchdowns a game
every week.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm gonna go dead presidents on this one.
Yeah.
Even if he gets McCaffrey back, they're gonna use Davis a little bit more now. They have to. I mean, he's playing well.
Yo, you know what I'm gonna do, man? Until Alex loses, bro. Alex, you my boy. But London, I'm gonna pick against you because I need you to just one loss, bro. I think we need that for you, right?
He needs that because if he goes undefeated the whole year, I mean, he could get shocked.
Yeah, it'll mess up your brain. Yeah, it'll mess up your head.
It'll be like a Keith in week 15, 1-0,
Yeah. So I'm going with my boy Will to bounce back and get this W right here. The next matchup here is wow. So it's Let's Go, who's 1-6, playing against Dismantlegate, who is my boy Ryan. Why so serious? 99 to 121 projection here. The marquee, the highlight matchup here is the Mahomes against Wilson, but that's the only that's or if Michael Thomas plays, right? But after that, you're like, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I mean, against the Jets, they might want to give it to him, but
this might be a Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell didn't score last week, right?
No, he had like 39 yards, like 6 carries.
Mark it. He's gonna score this week.
He'll probably score this. They're gonna want him to score this week.
He's getting 2 touchdowns this week.
It could be one of those games. I mean, then you got Singletary. Like every week it's 10, but he's always getting 4 or 5.
And New England,
until they commit to the run, and I keep telling you, man, Singletary might not be the best in between the tackles.
Yeah.
But a couple plays off the tackle, where he can just get in space.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5-6 yards a carry, man. But they don't dedicate to that. They're doing runs with Allen. And then Thomas, I don't know if Thomas is going to play this week. I think he's hurt probably, or
there's something going on with that Thomas situation in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a one excuse after the next every week, and now it's like he's hurt again. He's hurt for 5 weeks. Then he punches a teammate. Now he's hurt again. Like, I don't know. There's something going on there.
You know what? I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. You know what Ryan said to me? I just remembered.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at his lineup and I'm like, damn, there's no way he loses this game, right? If you look at the points scored against of a lot of us, we've had to put in work to get these wins, right? They're not easy for the most part. Ryan said he's like, yo, this would be the week that Let's Go has his boom week.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple out there. I mean,
yo, Le'Veon Bell, I'm telling you, I'm circling his name.
He will be the difference of anything, right? Philly's defense, I mean, you're expecting them to get at least 10.
Yeah.
Bucker against the Jets. I mean, he had a good game last week, Bucker, but, they're probably going to score more touchdowns. I could see him getting like 4 or 5, 35 to 3 or something,
Mm-hmm.
Andrews, I mean, against Pitt.
It's either 2 points or 17 points. That's what you're going to get from Andrews.
I've been telling him that since last year. Didn't I tell him that at the beginning of the season? He's 2 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I dealt with that all last year. Luckily, in the playoffs, he gave me 2 touchdowns when I needed him.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. No, I mean, I know the validity of the tight end position. I would rather have that on my team.
Yeah, and there's not that many great tight ends. I mean, it's good to have a guy like that.
It's Kelsey, Kittle, and then everybody else. And then maybe Andrews fits in that outside that tier.
Yeah,
but it's not many.
No, I mean, this is by the numbers. I mean, you want to go obviously Ryan.
Dude,
I'm hoping Ryan loses though.
are you gonna pick against him?
I'm just saying.
Are you gonna pick against him on his own network?
I mean, just for the fact of that, I might. It's gonna come down to if Mike Thomas plays, if Bell gets those 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
If he even plays, because a couple other tight ends fit right in that offense on Monday that could easily take away from his share.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to make a deal before it gets just out of hand for him. And I think he needs to package Mahomes and get 2 really good players or 3.
Follow Suicide Squad's plan, right?
I don't feel like he's into it like that to do that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It doesn't feel like that. Like, we'll be chatting and I'm like messing with him on certain deals and he's like, come on, man. And then when I give him a real deal, he's still not with it. And I'm like, all right, maybe you just don't want a deal, or at this point you just don't care. It just doesn't seem like he's trying to build his team. Like, at least with Suicide, he was 0-3 or 0-4. He saw Wilson. He thought maybe, I like Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just make this deal. It's not going to hurt me. Where I don't think he's on the chat enough. I don't think he's looking enough. Mm-hmm. Even when he's had the top waiver on a few of them, he could have probably got some really good players, and he's passed them up for fill-ins for that week. Like, I think one week was like Hooper, and there was like 2 or 3 other guys out there that he should have got. And I mean, he's had that bottom one for a while. He could have got a couple of good players that I think he missed on. It just doesn't seem like he puts that kind of work into it, and it makes sense. He's a Jets fan. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yo, man. Before the season started, they were all confident. I mean, if you look at Ryan's side, it states the obvious. Like, how can he lose this one, right? I'm not gonna pretend there's a David and Goliath situation happening here, because look at the averages. The back of the card doesn't lie, right? Like, so to speak. So I'm just gonna choose Ryan on this one.
Yeah, I'll go.
I'll bite.
I'll go Ryan as well, playing his game where I really want Let's Go to win.
Oh, nice.
All right, I'll go Ryan as well.
Touche. Hat tip. The last matchup we have here is our very gracious guest host today is Gator John. Interesting name. We're going back to the law firm UAA. I guess they passed the bar again. Got our law degrees again. It looks like you got a clash here, man. What you looking at here?
I mean, if there was ever a bounce back week and you had an opponent, you'd want Nelson, and I mean, if Brady puts up 40 and I lose this week, I'm going to be pretty upset. I mean, I got Watson and Fuller out. I mean,
you're getting Monday night Brady, right?
That's what I'm saying, man. I don't want it I'm saying. I don't want it to go crazy. I mean, I think Diggs, Robinson, Anderson, he's got some decent matchups.
Oh, Deshaun Watson and Fuller on the bye.
They're both out, so I'm going with the Ryan stack Thursday night. I know Ryan played Carolina.
The Ryan stack? What's the Ryan stack? Hold on.
Ryan and Ridley. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I think that although Ryan didn't play well against Carolina a few weeks ago, he didn't have Julio. The Thursday night game. Although I don't like starting Thursday night, who else is out there that I'm going to start that can give me the Ryan, ceiling? And
it's a division game,
and they got to win. They got Julio. He could easily throw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Ridley. Worst case, he's throwing like 300 yards, maybe 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
He's going to give me like 20.
If he throws 1 touchdown to Ridley, that move worked.
That's exactly. So that's kind of what I'm going with. I mean, when he was available and he got dropped, that was the guy I wanted. I was trying to package him like Tannehill and try to get something for some quarterback needy teams, but that didn't happen. So, Kupp, he just hasn't performed like I
just don't understand how the projections are still 11 a week.
It doesn't make sense. You thought they were going to have that offense where they're going to throw more, and all of a sudden it's just run offense. You just paid both of these receivers 16, 18 million a year, and you're depending on Henderson and Akers and fucking Brown. Brown had a good game. That pickup was not too bad, I guess.
I'll tell you what, I think Henderson's the best of the 3.
Yeah, Henderson looks the best. I mean, even when he came out of college, what did he go to Memphis, right?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I think he went to Memphis. He was a freak. I thought that first year he was going to blow up. A lot of injuries, but now it looks like he's gotten it all together, and he looks the best at all. But I mean,
yeah,
looking
University
at
of
my
Memphis.
squad,
University of Memphis.
I think it's going to come down to. I think Taylor's going to just blow up after this bye. I feel like they're gonna start feeding him the way they should. I think he's going to have a big game. Kelsey against the Jets. I mean, if he can't get a touchdown, that's going to be a problem.
Let me tell you something about Taylor, bro. If he doesn't do it now, coming off a bye, you worry about a little bit.
That's why I'm thinking about him like in some deals where I can maybe get someone, but I'm like, I just feel like by that time he's gonna just take off.
I mean, you don't worry like he sucks, because I mean, you look at the guy's numbers, he has good numbers. But what you thought you were gonna get, not you, but any Taylor owner thought they were gonna get out of Taylor if he got the opportunities, this ain't it.
20 plus, it ain't it.
Yeah.
It ain't it. And then it's scary the way Zeke looks in that offense. I mean,
I know, man. That's the biggest thing about Zeke.
It just looks so bad.
Yeah.
It's at the point you're like, should I deal him and just try to get two really good players? But it's like, who am I gonna get for him? Is someone? I mean,
he still has the name.
Still has a name, right? He's still a top 3 guy.
Yeah.
But the last 2 weeks, I mean, he just hasn't really come through. And I mean, on his side, I mean, he's got an all right team. You know, McKinnon, how are they going to use him? I mean, 11 is pretty rich for McKinnon.
I think they'll use. I think the reason he has 11 here is because expect the Niners to maybe be down.
Yeah.
So maybe McKinnon more involved, more third downs, right? Like, I mean, Hasty is essentially a small guy too, right? So you can't use him like you use Wilson.
Right. I'm hoping Coleman comes back this week, to be honest.
Oh, and that's another thing. If Coleman comes back, he slots right into that Wilson role.
So that would be
temper expectations for either McKinnon or Hasty, and it might be Hasty the odd man out.
Right.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Evan Ingram. I think if you create a player, right? If you create a player and you had a player that looked like the best football player on earth, Evan Ingram will be the player that come out.
When he came out of Ole Miss, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he physically, he's a monster.
It just does not make sense how you can't get this guy the ball in space.
Well, you know what? When I was watching the game on Thursday, he had a chance to lock down that game on that miss. I mean, that pass might have been a little bit over, but he's got to make that.
That's true.
Catch.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that confidence, I don't think, in himself at this point. And the coaching staff, they're trying to feed him, and every week they're saying the right things, but they're not treating him like that. Like, they're not giving him 12, 15 targets a game. Yeah. He's getting a couple of targets, and then he's missing, and it's like, I don't know. Let's just hope this isn't the week that they start showcasing him.
See, when I see this matchup, you expect Kelsey to bounce back, so that's scary, right? Like, got 2 touchdowns maybe for Kelsey this week, or maybe one of those 120 yards, like, 10 catches, you know what I mean? Like one of those ridiculous hard working, like Kelsey put the Chiefs on his back because they didn't really need anything else. Gio in the slot, in flex, I like Gio. I like the fact that you have him there. Blankenship, to me, I said it when Keith had him, that he was low-key one of the pickups of the year, and bye weeks came and he had to drop him. I think personally that Blankenship is still going to keep on with the same production because of his defense. And he still has a good quarterback that can move the ball. Can they punch it in the end zone? Maybe not, but that's why you want a kicker.
That's why I was hoping.
Yeah, so I think you made out for that with that one. In the long run, maybe this week, maybe not, but like I feel like in the long run, and especially it's in Detroit in the dome. Yeah, you're good. I like Brady. I love Diggs. Anderson to me is one of the sneakiest, like, top 5 players, like, at his position that no one's talking about.
Yeah, he's been good all year.
Yeah, so him going up against Atlanta, that's really good. And Henderson, Miami, maybe I think Miami's weakness would be the run, right?
If anything, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at him. This is a week that that you're confident in saying that he's not going to put up less than like 80, 85, right? Like, he'll put up his 90 points. I just don't think it'll be enough to do what your team is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know Thursday, depending what Henderson does and what Ridley and Ryan do.
Yeah, I think the things that scare me, not really Ingram, right? It's more so Brady on Monday, man. That scares me, bro.
Yeah.
Because if he's within striking distance and this man has another 40 banger in him,
if I fucking lose, I'm gonna. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. I gotta be 2 games above. And I got Mike the following week, so I definitely need this one.
Nelson, right there, bro. All right, man. We got through the recap, man. And before we go through our like goodbyes and everything, you mentioned something about Let's Go, and Nelson, for instance, and I think that the conversations have been had about, like, you know, whether someone's expertise should dictate whether they're in a league versus if just someone that is part of like a friendship, right? Like if someone's a friend and they would like to be involved in this, even if maybe the skill set isn't quite on par with the rest of the league. Like, what do you feel about that whole dynamic? Because I feel like I feel like it's a conversation piece, right? Not just in our league, but in other leagues that want to just have pay leagues and maybe have managers that not are out of it, because Nelson's still way in the thick of things, right? Like,
right.
but like when the dynamic like that, right? Like, because Nelson, as a good friend of mine, you know, I've known him for years, right? So, you know, I love Nelson. So, you know, when I take jabs at his team, I don't ever want him to think that it's like, you know, any disrespect, but we all have a certain standard. You hear the commission always talking about the standard is the standard, right? Like,
standard is the standard. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'll let you talk, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts around that.
I mean, you know, most of us have been here a while. We've been playing it for a while. You know, we're getting better and better. It's getting more competitive. And sometimes when you look at guys that maybe, you know, everyone has a different life, right? But when they don't follow it kind of like you do, and they don't put in that much work, they kind of mess with like your team in a sense, because someone's going to get that player, even if it's a draft or on the waivers. Like, if they're not using the waivers correctly, you're making a stronger team when you're picking up guys that maybe for a week, not really looking at the future, just trying to fill a spot when that guy's probably going to be there after the waiver claims. So I think it hurts the competitive nature of the league when you don't have guys that you don't feel follow. And then when they're losing, you know, you can put in as much work as you want, you know, for 6 months drafting and whatever. But, you know, when you get trades that come across that just don't sit right, and, you know, nobody would take that trade.
Yeah.
You know, and you know which one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It just, especially when you don't get better by it,
mm-hmm.
right? You're giving away your best player,
mm-hmm.
and you're getting back a guy in a 3-headed committee with Henderson. You're getting OBJ, who's not a fantasy player.
Yeah, injury aside. Injury is something you can't predict.
Injury aside, right? That can happen.
Yeah.
And then who else did he get back there? You got OBJ.
Of Josh Allen.
And Josh Allen. Like, making a trade like that, you want to get like 2 really good players, like a low-end running back one and a top wideout for Kamara,
mm-hmm.
right? You're talking like maybe just offhand, like maybe a Julio, Jonathan Taylor, let's say. You know, that wouldn't look awful.
Mm-hmm,
you know, that's a trade that, all right, cool. You know, not that they're ones, but they're there. That trade's there. When you look at a deal like this, where he's getting Allen and he's got Brady, who dropped 42 out of 6-7 weeks and is a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
Has the stack with Godwin.
Yeah, a nice stack.
You're getting OBG for Godwin. Of course, Godwin's been hurt, but when healthy, you know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
So you see a guy getting Kamara and Godwin, and then the other guy getting Allen, who already has Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you mess up that stack right there. Now you're sitting Brady. You're starting Allen. Your running back position is Henderson, Gore, McKinnon. Like, you didn't get better. Like, when you're going to trade your best player, you should be getting better. Like, if I trade Zeke, you know, I'm not going to be taking fucking Gore and Philip Lindsay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's you know, you're just not going to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So the point, he didn't get better, and And Mike obviously got better, you know, although he drafted some of those guys, and you know how Mike drafts and the way he moves on the waiver, and he's done good moves. And for him to get the deal, if it was me on the other side, whatever backlash, I'd be like, yeah, I'm playing to win. And the fact he got it, you know, great.
More, I say the same thing. More power to him.
Yeah, it was a great move, right? On a bye week, maybe, whatever the case. But you know, he was still in it. He was 3-2, and he gave away his first and second pick. Yeah. 5 weeks.
And he hasn't. I think he's gotten. I think his scores have gotten lower the last few weeks.
Every week it's getting lower. Hopefully this week he doesn't boom. But it's that kind of thing where you're just sitting there and you're like, you know, you can have the great draft, do all the research, and then one of these trades, week 6, week 7, come along that are just totally flipped. There's no veto option, and you're just, you know, it's gonna bring tension to the group. You're like, wow, like I just had a good team. You know, look at that president, 7-0. He's probably thinking like, shit, shaking my head like, damn, like what's that about? You know, although I'm 7-0, now you look at HHM's team and you're like, it's a full roster, man. You need a lot of them to shit the bed for you to even win. I mean, you know, so now you're forced to make moves as other teams, like you just did, you know, like Raheem did to get Wilson, even though he did it before. I might be forced to make a move where I got to get a little better because you start thinking the future and the matchups and where you got to be. And, you know, when you look at it, you're like, you know, I have an okay team, but is it going to be good enough after the deadline to win the whole thing? You know, and you might have a favorite player, but you got to get the most value out of them, you know, and good for him. And I mean, to answer the question, I mean, obviously we want to have everybody kind of on the same level, and we kind of all know who is and who isn't friendship apart. You know, the fact that everyone pays, you know, that's fine. But like we said earlier, it's not really even about the money. You know, it's about the banter back and forth. It's about the competitive nature of it. I'd rather have 12 competitive guys that are going to play properly, you know, with the waiver, with the trades to be better, and just go at it like that, than to have a couple of guys that maybe don't follow it as much. And it's nothing to them, man. I don't even know them, right? It's just the way I see it from the outside. If anyone's giving me a perspective, it's me, because I don't know any of them. the way I see it, you know, from my end, you know, I've been here in Florida, but the way I see it, it's like you're not really following. And those teams could have been so much better if they used the waiver properly. And I just don't feel like, you know, they've done that. So it hurts the competitive nature of the league in that way.
So I guess to cap it off, I think that I agree with you, and you know, with Nelson, right, it's his first year back. I think it's a point of emphasis to remember that it takes a little bit to get back in the swing of things, right? And this league is intense. It's not easy, right? Like, and then the way we interpret football, the way we digest football and like execute our is a whole different league, man. This is an expert league if I've ever been in one, right? So you know, maybe being away makes things a little more difficult, trying to get in the swing of things and figuring out maybe how I'm gonna watch the games. I'm not, you know, this is just trying to figure out a perspective here, right? Like, because at least I think that, and I mentioned this before, and that's why I have Nelson coming on next week, because what if he genuinely liked the deal he got, right? Like, what if he genuinely liked that? Like, who are we to tell him? Like, even though we know like weak stats and we could like show, right? Like, who are we to tell him that his trade was a bad trade for him? I think that's where, and that's the dangerous part of it, right? Like, I agree that in trades there does need to be some sort of evaluation process, but remember, the veto I don't think is it, because now it's like, just because I'm playing you this week, dude, I don't care who you're trading, I'm vetoing.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I wouldn't bring that back for sure. It's hard. Like, you just know that nobody else takes that deal in the league. Yeah, no, I know. And I think that's the problem. You're right. And I'm glad that we can have these conversations, right? I just feel like, at least, you know, I think that, Nelson's back in the league 1 year, and maybe it's just he's thrown himself right in the middle, right? Like, so, you know, a deal like that, I think that is a learning opportunity too, because next year maybe you think twice about making a deal like that. You don't really, I think rule of thumb has always been, if you have a top player like that, you don't trade him. A running back, a premium running back, you don't really top 3 fantasy player. You don't even have to watch football. You can just see the box score each week and see what he's doing. Yeah, I just felt like on a deal like that to give it Kamara, he could have got much better, and he just kind of, it's almost like he just, like his team is just going down from there. I mean, who knows what happens this week, but
yeah, I mean,
he could have got better. That's the only way I see it.
Yeah, and again, the beautiful thing is next week I'll have him on as a guest, and we can chop it up and chit chat and catch up, and everybody will get to meet him. My boy John, thank you so much for joining me and being my a very good man. Hey, everybody, round of applause for my boy John here.
First time.
First time.
I'm doing my part to keep it going, man. I hope I didn't talk too much. I try not to talk too much crap, and I didn't mention one time, Mike, that I was the champion last year, just so you know that. All right?
Hey, the last two champs. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, just so you know, Aaron Rodgers is playing Minnesota this week. You know what happened last year, right?
Yikes.
You didn't come through.
Yikes.
Just saying.
Yo, Mike, respond in the comment section below or in the chat. Yo, my boy, thank you so much, man. I think that the league needs people like you, I always say, because again, you're the type of person that you don't mind, like, exchanging back and forth. It's all in good fun, especially now with COVID. We need this more than ever. I've mentioned this a million times. I'll never get tired of saying it, right? Like, it's important to have my boy in Florida over there, my guy Mike. It's important to have my Carls and my Keeps of the world, because we're all trying to like figure out how to get through this together, right? And I think now more than ever, I appreciate you guys. So I really thank you for taking your time. I know you have your family and everything, man. We'll definitely get you back on the show.
All right.
If anyone has any questions, comments, or anything that you want to talk to John about, you can email us at thefantasystandardtfs@gmail.com. Let us know, what do you think about the show? If you're listening on the podcast platform, make sure you hit that follow button, and then you go right to the review and let us know how we're doing. That's the only way we'll know whether to tweak the show or not. My boy John, thank you again. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Nah, man, we're good. Just glad this show has kept going and doing my part to keep it going. Appreciate you continuing on. And I think the way we're going with it, just, interviewing or kind of having everyone on the show just kind of brings everyone a little bit more together, get their perspectives, how they look at things. Next week we'll get a lot out of Nelson. Hopefully you can get everybody on. So we can see everybody too, see what's behind the talk and all that, and see what actually they might know or don't know. So it's always good. And I'm just glad that the shows keep it going, because I'm telling you, I would look forward to it. Like every Wednesday, it'd be like, I'm like in my car and I'm just, all right, let's check this out. Let's see what they got to say,
Yeah, so. 100%. You did forget to say Bills Mafia over here. Bills Mafia, let's go.
All day. It's on my head. I ain't gotta say it.
We're the majority. We are the majority in the league, right? Of fans. I love mentioning that.
3 at least.
Yeah. So we lead the league in fandom. So let's go Bills. We can say whatever we want here about the Bills Mafia, playoffs.
I mean, playoffs for sure. What we're going to do, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but I'm still expecting 11 wins. So
100%. Same here. I thought we were going undefeated, but that's just me. My boy, John, I'm Juan. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks a lot, man. See you later.